forward kind of gap closer animation. Like Arcane Shift is very like loaded on the front side. I feel like you can always connect a chain. It's not large enough for you to get out of chain range either. So in that sense, it is a good matchup.
Jace.
But
Quinn.
we won't see it at the end of the show.
So we have seen Quinn before. We did see Quinn once. I believe it was actually, who was it? Who played it?
I totally did not cast all these 1v1s and should definitely not know this.
I'm totally spacing out right now. It was Mad Life. I'm pretty sure Mad Life actually did play the Quinn, and we did see Bjergsen obviously play Jace. Jace is definitely very strong in the 1v1s. Quinn's all in, though, cannot be underestimated. And this champion, with the Harrier procs, I believe it is, are so much damage.
The problem is that Quinn doesn't get usually the problem is that Quinn doesn't get value from her ulti as much.
Yeah.
The same thing kind of can be said from... they have really interesting trading patterns. Jace is good in 1v1s if he can hit both the range creeps with a Q or an empowered Q and the enemy champion, and then can speed up through his own gate, walk up, triple shot in the face, switch forms and hammer time. That is kind of what he wants to do. But it is hard against a good Quinn playing around with that vault.
Yeah, certainly. You can actually vault the Jace Q, I believe, and stop that. Yep. So that is something that's a really unique interaction. And if you do try to go aggressive as Quinn and you try to use the vault to refresh the Harrier proc and get the extra damage, then the Jace can Q onto you free, basically. And it's kind of, there's a back and forth there.
Yeah, I wonder if damage...
Jace E?
Well, the Jace E can knock her out of it for sure, but she'll still bounce back far enough. But I wonder if the damage actually still sticks on the Q. It used to be like super flashable, but I somehow feel that even if the Quinn gets the kind of the leap off to dodge the Q landing, she'll still take a significant amount of damage.
Yeah, I'm not super sure about that interaction, but either way, it is pretty interesting because you spoke about the Shock Blast, right? You spoke about hitting the back range minions and everything, and Quinn, it's kind of similar that you're dealing with, right? The Quinn Q, you can push, you can hit the range minions with that as well, and you also have to, both champions want to keep minions in between them and the other champion, but not get too close to those minions to get splashed by the abilities.
Yeah, and you spoke about this kind of hybrid AD style last game where yes, you are an AD carry that can go all in, but you're focusing more on sustaining, become a bit of a bruiser. Uzi's doing something similar. Very heavy on mana regen, 1.7 in total. He has a lifesteal Quint as well built in, and he is running 18-0-12. 12 points in resolve, really going for a more sustained approach here.
Yeah, I think this is really smart, and it'll be interesting to see if he is even going to go like one step past that to do what Levy did and kind of start building some armor and that kind of thing.
And if we contrast that to Optimus, he is definitely much more around the kind of all-in aspect. He's running 7.5% CDR. So basically what he wants to do is get a good trade and go back in again and kind of outpace the cooldowns from Uzi. But that generally means stylistically that Uzi's approach is safer for basically a 1v1 holistically.
Yeah, I would think so. I think going for CDR is pretty risky. It's something where you have to constantly get those trades. You kind of have to constantly do it, and your opponent can play around that and back off.
Yeah, we see that in the Masters as well. Yes, both of these guys are running Warlords, but there are 12 points in Cunning.
Yeah.
That's the middle tree for people that actually don't know what they're called, which is basically the all-in aspect, you know, where you run things like the Green Father's Gift or Merciless, which basically gives you much more execute damage.
Yeah, and even I believe it's Assassin Mastery, which is the extra damage. So he has the Ignite too. So everything speaks about the fact that he wants to all in. But the problem with that is it becomes pretty choreographed. When you see your opponent is running CDR, if you click on them, you see that kind of thing. You see that, you know, he is running Green Father's Grace, all this. You just know that you have to play a bit more defensively.
And then stylistically, how do you beat that? Well, you just pressure him and you get some allies, right? And those allies are the minions. And because as Uzi, you can have more liberties when you're pushing. You can take some damage, sustain it back up, whereas Optimus, he really wants to hold himself for that one big moment. Pretty poor Q in there from Optimus, honestly, allowing Uzi to bounce back. Uzi, all he needs to do is keep his range and avoid the EQ combos around level 5.
Exactly. Uzi has more sustain. He has the defensive trees. He has the lifesteal and the mana regen in the masteries. And he has, honestly, in my opinion, a much easier win condition than his opponent. And it's kind of the same sort of thing that we saw Levy force his opponent into, where Optimus is eventually probably going to come to the realization where it's like, crap, I have to all in, don't I?
Oops, I didn't do. Strong trade here in between from Uzi. Gets the CS advantage. Sees a way in. Optimus, even though these styles are like nuances, these are still champions with a lot of high base damages, so that in itself is honestly the first layer of decision making. Can I hit this guy in the face? Yes, then go for it. And we've seen a continuous minion advantage here from Uzi.
Yeah.
Versus a champion that's generally known for pushing on Jace.
12 CS up already is pretty big. He is going to be able to close the gap a little bit, but Optimus is getting relatively low on HP. If Uzi can get there, he got the relic. Ooh. And he gets both summoners from Optimus, which is brutal.
Oh, close there, though, because if that relic goes to Optimus, suddenly all our theory goes out of the window, and Uzi gets smashed in the head. And even though he was so confident he was getting that relic that he did not even want to use the exhaust on maximum
Or
range
the barrier,
to slow Optimus.
Yeah, and that's the fact is it wasn't even really that close because he still has both the summoners. He did get a little bit low on HP, but now he bases. He's going to have a much better buy, I would assume here. We'll see what he decides to spend all his gold on. So it's going to be pretty aggressive. Not going to go for the cloth armor route. I actually think that after
you could argue with it.
Yeah, I think that when you're already this far ahead, your opponent has already kind of blown his summoners and stuff. You can definitely afford to go for those more defensive routes.
Yeah, unless you're Uzi and you just feel so confident in like knowing the damage range that you can optimize your style. This is probably like a higher yield but lower variance if you go for the sword. Yes, you get screwed if you mess up, but if you keep the push going, then obviously you can lock this Jace on a turret and he has nothing else to do.
And the fact of the matter is, when you're 2 summoners to 0, Uzi might just want to kill this guy, right? Like, people, yes, winning on CS is super legit, but you'd rather kill the guy,
I mean,
right?
in front of the crowd has definitely shown us what they think about somebody who plays for CS.
The crowd wants blood.
Like gladiators.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the Gladiator movie, except in this movie, they don't respect the mercy. The mercy of leaving your opponent alive and killing only the minions.
Thumbs down every time.
Thumbs down every time, yeah, exactly.
This is actually like a hidden thing that's overlooked as well. There's no safety in brushes versus the Quinn, obviously, since you have that reveal.
Map hacks.
Good poke from Optimus. Answers there on Uzi. Uzi looking for some sustain before he goes in again. Good vault. Good answer on the trades. Every time Uzi vaults, he's getting a shot blast in the face. He's going low right now, though.
There's the exhaust. He's looking for the kill here. Should have it. So well played by Uzi. I think that this is like what Levy did, but one step better, right? He had the win condition of the 100 CS. He outthought his opponent. He had better build. I think he had better runes and everything to set up, and then he just kills the guy.
They were blocked by the cameras. You're like, how do I get this? Yeah, anyway, okay, walk around, walk around. Yeah, and it basically, like, it was very seamless. It feels like he was kind of like second nature. Like, I don't think he, as a player, is thinking about, oh yes, right here, because if I make that trade, obviously it's for this like big, broader concept. You see the final trade again. It's at this moment Optimus knows like he's going down. There's not much he can do. Even for good measure, showing that his barrier was still up at the end from Uzi.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's instinctual, right? Like, you don't think about every single little decision you're doing. The very best players just know that it's the right decision, and that's why it's